So what strikes me is that, especially with Sammy's work, where there's a lot of intricate layers of meaning, which are all very open to interpretation. So, depending, I know we have the story from Sammy, which is amazing to read all of that and see what's behind the painting. But I think as well, people can also build their own stories around the paintings, because they may see different things. It's a bit like with faces. Some people concentrate on the eyes on the face, other people concentrate more on the nose and mouth, and you remember things differently. So, with your abstracts, they've got so much in them, they're so layered that different people will probably find their own stories in them, as well as learn the story that you have in mind when you're creating it. I think the first painting with the optical effects of where it looks like it is actually a sculpture on the canvas. I love that. I love that effect, and it also creates ambiguity, so that area on the left, you think, well, is that actually coming out towards us, or is it going in, like into a black hole or somewhere in the middle? So it really does look 3D, and I know that's not the same with all of your paintings. Some of them look more 3D than others, but that one in particular. And I think as well with the abstract, that each time I look at them, I see some different shapes or different combinations of shapes that make different, remind me of different things. So may remind me of a face or an animal, or trees or clouds, or all sorts of different things. And I think that can also depend on the viewer's mood as to how they see them and what they find in them as well. I love the way that you use colours, which are very emotive and suggest different moods to the paintings as well. And again, that may create different feelings in different people, because we all like different combinations of colours. Some people like really bright colours, others like more muted colours, blues as opposed to greens or reds or whatever. So that again, with it's all coming down to the stories again, and what people see in them, and how different colours make different people feel. And there are some commonalities. Sort of yellow tends to make people feel brighter and more cheerful, and same with orange, more positive or whatever. But whereas blue and green tend to be more calming. But some people prefer different colours from others. The second painting, what size is the second painting, Sammy?
Second one it's 100 by 100.
Is it not rectangular, the second one? Anyway, but it's quite big. It's quite big. Yeah.
There's 180 by 80 and 200 by 100. I thought I put on. Did I not? I can't remember now.
I didn't see it. It may have been me missing it. Now that one's got a very different colour palette from the first one. It's a bit lighter. It's more carefree. Whether the other one, the first one, I think is a bit stronger emotion in the first one because of the colours, whereas the second one gives a much lighter, let's say, more carefree sort of feel to it. And again, it's looking at things, and you can tell that there have been layers go on there, and different shapes. I could see a little animal of some sort in one part of it, and faces, and it also spoke to me of nature as well. It looked like you've been influenced by nature, and some of it with plants and flowers. And then I'll look at it again and I'll see something completely different. So that one, I don't think I've read a story on that one, so I'd be really interested to hear your story. Well,
that one's 60 by 80. Yes,
right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd be really interested to look at your story on that one again and just see how that relates to how I see it and whether it speaks the same language to me as it did for you when you were creating it. The third painting with the bubbles, and I think you said that was to do with like COVID and bubbles and family units and things, which I did remember that one, so something stuck. That one I find quite calming but happy and positive at the same time, probably because it's got the yellows and oranges. And it, although it's quite simple, I find that it draws me in, and I want to sort of move in between the bubbles, or sometimes I look at it and I think, oh, are they bubbles or are they balloons, or like molecular level, are they molecules swirling around, or like in blood or something, the platelets and things. And other times I look at it and I think, actually, it's a bit like looking down into the ocean and seeing jellyfish all rising up towards the top. They're all just there together. And, it'd be nice to sort of go in amongst them. So, those are things that I get from it, from sort of my stories, as it were, which might be different. Well, they are a bit different because yours was the COVID bubbles. So I'm seeing a different story in them than you are, and I think those three are all quite different, whereas some of your others are more similar in approach and execution, and that these ones are all quite different from each other and give me a different feeling when I look at each one. So for what it's worth, that was my sort of take on those three paintings. I don't know if that gives you any new things to say about them.
It's hard, isn't it? Because I have a story for them, but I love it when people bring their own stories to them. But I suppose what I'm wanting to know from you all is about, how do I sell that? Because some of the stories can be very dark. So, for example, the middle photograph, the second one, which is quite bright and quite colourful, is actually about a very traumatic period in my growing up, in my life, from when I was at senior school, from the moment I started senior school to the moment I left sixth form. It was such a horrid time, so I just kept having to pull in the bits of unknowing. Only now as an adult I can break it down, but my survival mode was to just linking in to all my happy times when I was, before I moved here, when I lived in London. Had a lovely time there, come here, and it was horrid. School was horrid. So that's what that's actually about. So there's lots of black areas. And even though they're very few, it's because I've covered the black over with colour to try and make things okay. Do you know? And so it's trying to sell something that's really quite sad.
But I personally, I have no problem with that, as in, it's like Angel's always saying, about embracing the dark side and things, because there are a lot of people which had that really bad experience, and that would actually mean a lot to them when they read that. They wouldn't think, oh God, that's a bit, oh, sorry, cat's coming now. They wouldn't think, oh, that's awful that you're telling me that story. There'll be an awful lot of people who relate to it, and if someone doesn't relate to it, it's not the painting for them. It's my only example is when one painter I really love, Georgia O'Keeffe, she did some pictures of New York which were really dark. For me, I looked at them and didn't like them at all, and I was standing next to a friend who loved them, but I didn't like New York, but she did like New York. Georgia O'Keeffe did like New York, and that's how she'd painted it. So clearly that emotion was coming off, and she immediately was like, I love these pictures, but I was never going to buy one because that's not how I related. So someone who relates to that story and that look, they're the one who's going to buy the paint. So I don't think you're going to turn the owner, the future owner of the painting off by telling them that story. I mean, I personally love to hear your stories and what it meant to you when you painted. Now, whether I see it that way or not, that's another. But I also, once you started telling us about you doing the sketches and everything, as someone who would want to buy your work, I would be really interested to know that there's actually a smaller version that I could also get as well as the bigger version, because some of your pieces are really big and like you think it'd be quite nice to have a smaller version that I could put somewhere else. But also you were saying about the story and having that written up, because whilst I might say, oh, when Sammy did this was what it meant, you know, say the COVID, it meant COVID. To me, it means Prosecco. So, well, hey!
I think another thing as well with that one is that although you started from that dark place, you covered up a lot of the dark. And it's a very positive thing that from those dark places, you can come back, you can bounce back and remember the good bits and go back to having those good times again. And you know, it's a dark place that you've been to, but you didn't have to stay there. And it means that you've also got, you know, empathy with other people who've been in dark places as well. And, you know, it just because you're there now doesn't mean you're going to have to stay there forever. You know, there's hope. And you know, life goes on and things can get better. So you know, it's, yes, it came from a dark place, but it didn't end up a dark painting. It's got, you know, because you have come away from that place and it's got signs of hope and you know, colour and life in it.
People will do that. People will be like, will sort of get that and go through their own experiences and get hope from that and realize that the darkness doesn't last forever and you can get through. And that in itself is very powerful. So I think it's more, I know you said like you hid the dark elements of it, but for me, I would talk about the layers of it more, to say that there is the dark there. It's always going to be there. So it's always going to be on that painting, but now your future, you've got the joy there, you've got the light there. So I'd mention that it's got that layer in there, that you've got that level of darkness.
I agree with you.
It's very powerful.
I agree, because looking at your painting, Sammy, I do not know much at all about abstract work, but out of those 3 paintings that you showed us, when I was looking, my favourite one is this particular painting. But I did kind of take, when you said that it's come from a very dark place, I think if I was, you know, looking at it as a dark place, then I'd think, oh gosh, I don't want to be reminded of, you know, the sadness that you've gone through. So, but coming from it to say that it's, that there's something positive out of it, then that makes it feel better. But otherwise, for me, it would put me off if all I heard was just the sadness, because I think, oh gosh, if I'm looking at that, I'd be thinking of you and that side of things. Whereas looking at it, it is my favourite piece out of the 3 because of the colours and the textures. I think it's really lovely. So, and the colours really appeal to me.
But I don't think you should be put off by telling people that, like, say, if Joan knew all that and would say, well, okay, I wouldn't have that painting because of that. That's not a bad thing. I mean, Joan likes it, but just because, you know, she would have too much empathy with that sadness to not be able to have that up in the house. That's fine. Someone who does need that, you know, would want it and would celebrate that. And, you know, and I think that's, I mean, personally, let's say I always have bright pictures up. It's probably why I was attracted to Georgia O'Keeffe and all the colour. That's just me. I like to have that rather than darkness. But, you know, that doesn't mean I don't appreciate darker pieces. But I was very attracted to that one. And it doesn't bother the fact that you came from a dark place to that. I see that as a celebration myself. and I love that. I mean, I'm very sad that, I mean, and I wouldn't know, knowing you, that you had such a horrible time at school in that sense. And so that's lovely as well, to know that, you know, it hasn't affected you or dulled your, you know, brightness, basically. So yeah, I think that's cool.
And it's inspirational because of that.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of reminder to people that, despite, because we all have bad times in one form or another, that there are ways of coping with it, and to look back and from a different perspective, so that you can see where the joy, where the strength of how you've managed to cope with whatever situation it is, and how you've actually managed to deal with it. And just a reminder that things will get better, and there's hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, kind of, I'm not doing this very well, but I think the both need to be expressed, because your piece works, to my mind, is much stronger because of the dark.
Yeah,
both need to be expressed.
I was going to say, I think there's 3 points that are really important, you know, that Fiona started to mention too. First of all, that the pictures are all different, and they're really different. My first initial reaction to them was, this is a case where, by looking at the paintings, you don't really can tell a style, you know, like your style. So that part is still, in a way, absent. Then there is the idea of, if you were to do an exhibit, I would emphasize the place that these originated from. And it's more about you, the artist, and how you create and you process. And then comes the third part, wanting to sell the paintings. And the idea of, you know, would people buy this for themselves? I totally, you know, agree with the notion that it's perfectly all right to you know, come to a dark place, but it's also a little bit sort of the old idea of, oh, artists have to go through this tragic thing to become artists. It's somewhat of a cliche almost in certain circles or customers. So, and I think the people that, you know, we mostly deal with as customers, unless they're following you, there's potentially 2 ways to go if you're into the selling. And that's the art therapy idea, which, you know, in a way you're doing, but you're selling the dark side or trying to. What would be helpful is kind of what Mac is alluding to, is to really, now that, you know, you have your story, you know where it's coming from, and now put yourself into, okay, did that process help, and how did it help? And emphasize all the positive part of it. You know, the coming through it, the looking at it from behind in time, the joy of now versus the, you know, misery of the past, kind of thing. And to really go for the joy. And I think that's is a story that's highly sellable, where people have overcome, but instead of, you know, really going in depth about what was there to overcome, to go the other way and say, you know, this is joyful. We have dark days, but now, you know, we can look at the colors and the celebration of being here and now, where it's different. So that's something I was going to say. The other part is I would really love for you to also talk about, like briefly, take 5 minutes if you could, and talk about each of the painting. I mean, I've seen them. I was trying to find them again. I've lost them. But it just, for me, they are so different that could be a feature. It's like, hey, every time you paint, it's a totally different style, but that's so opposing to what every salesperson would say would help. And so the other thing that you could do, even though a customer will typically, when you start out having followers and customers, will only look at the one painting, you could try to tie them together, like in sequence. I was doing this, I was celebrating such and such, and now I'm here. That reminded me, and to kind of tie the in-between together and sell the in-between, from that painting to this. That way, instead of selling one painting, you're selling two. Even if one of them already sold, you can say, well, it really started with this other sold painting, but now I'm, here. That was my thought of.
I think that aspect, I think I already do because I paint in series. So I may have my, like the American series. So it's about when I went to America and everything I saw there, a lot of musicians, a lot of jazz musicians. So I painted that. And then I did one about relationships. So that was, again, different styles of paintings, but all under that banner heading of relationships. And the other one was like Paris. So all just the paintings were all associated with Paris, but slightly different styles again. And I can remember my tutors always saying, stick to one style. But when you've got a head full of stuff, it's very hard to stick to one style. And I don't think I would be me if I did stick to that one style and painted the same painting in 10 different colors just to make 10 different paintings.
That's fine too. I mean, I really am also still hesitant towards the idea of just do one, because I'm all over the place myself sometimes. But think about the person who sees your artwork and does not know all the various things in the series. They're really only seeing the one thing. And so in your sales approach, somehow you need to be able to say this, that you're working in series, and that this is part of this series. This is, actually, so you're creating as a sales post or, pitch in a way, this whole other world that you definitely can't see from the paintings. And, like if you were to take those 3 paintings, okay, which series do they belong to, each of them, and, which one came first? Those kind of things that are more neutralized, I guess, for a newcomer looking at this for the first time, but being attracted by, let's say, the colors. Sometimes the story can kill the sale, let's say it that way. I've experienced that, and I'm thinking afterwards, oh, I should have just shut up, and if I stopped talking, they would have bought it. Basically, I almost talked them out of it because I was emphasizing the things that really I cared for, but they didn't, at that point. So anyway.
From what you said, Renee, I've got a question for you, Sammy. What do you think links all of your paintings? What is the link between all of them? Apart from you, what is the link?
Right, those three paintings are all from different series. They're not all part of the same series of work.
I appreciate that, but what links them? What links them as you as an artist?
It's how I'm looking at the subject matter, I suppose.
You mean your process?
Well, yeah. Well, my process links it all because I go through the same process for each piece.
That was my interpretation of your process. It is your process. It's your style. So perhaps you need to emphasize that.
Oh, okay. That makes it a bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If I can tell something. At first, I want to say that I want to express the fact that I admire Sammy very much because she does the opposite with respect to what I do. She seems that able to simplify the things if I make them complicated. There was a philosopher, Plato, maybe in English, who used to say a tale to his students about some people standing outside of a cave, and that cave was surrounded and closed by a wall. And the story I try to sum up is that the first person who is so stick to the visible things as me, I need to see, I need to paint what I see, basically, is that this is the first stage of knowledge. Somehow, as you progress in your process of knowledge, and you are able to be far from what you see from the things, and this is the step of geometry, mathematics, and philosophy. I think that Sammy is more advanced than me, and I particularly would like to see the process, because I think that Beck is pretty right when she says, and you confirm, that you are the link between all the things. I don't see a contradiction between the paintings. I think that you are the one that relates everything. But since I am curious and I really in love with Kandinsky and all the classical abstract artists, maybe you can be more easy to understand if you try to teach to the viewer how you simplify the things. Because I love the sketch that you did in Inktober, because I saw that fish. I was impressed by the fish because I saw the fish, but I couldn't see the fish itself. And I think you can do such things if you work on a piece, starting from the beginning. For example, I know that you write a lot. You once say that you spend most of your time writing, and then the painting is something somehow the result of your reflections on writing and on paper. And maybe the process would be agreeable as the result. This is my suggestion for you, but I have nothing to teach you. I just have to learn from you.
Thank you. That's floored me, really.
There you go.
I really like the third painting, Sammy, the one with the circles. It would be my second choice. So my first one is the one that we spoke about. This would be my second. And when I look at it, I do feel happy. It gives me a kind of a feeling of it. When I look at it, it's kind of like a feeling of freedom. It kind of reminds me of being either my childhood or or when I was working with kids doing my classes, where I would blow bubbles and they would be just in awe. They just look up and they just want to just catch all the bubbles. So it sort of brings back a sort of either childhood memory or, that kind of feeling of freedom, just seeing these bubbles. And yet, like you say, that relates to COVID. So I would be really interested. I think, like what, I can't remember who said it, but it would be nice to hear your views, your story behind the different pieces. Your third piece, I kind of feel mixed feelings with it. I like the colours of the blues because it's one of my favourite colours, but I'm not so inclined to like the dark brown because I think that maybe it kind of feels sad to me, but yet maybe it could be a happy painting. It's hard to know, but that gives, when I look at it, I feel sadness, and I don't know why. That's how it makes me feel. Well, I say I don't know anything about abstract, so I would love to know if you could explain the stories behind the pieces.
What now, or you want me to write it up in the after?
I'd love to hear it now, but I don't know how, people...
Right, I'll do it very quickly. The first one is part of my review of the news 2020, and that's actually George Floyd. And when he was being knelt upon by the police officer. So what I was doing with the colours, I was trying to get the heaviness of that first shape coming down is the knee going into the man's neck and squishing it and stopping the airway, stopping the oxygen getting to his lungs. The brownness underneath is an illustration of all people, whatever race or nationality, that have suffered through malpractice of their police brutality at that time, over not just this year but over the years. So that and I think that painting would look better as a sculpture, definitely better as a sculpture. So you could carve in where all the different shapes are, you carve in those shapes. So briefly, sadly, that's the story behind that, because that at that time it was on the news and I was writing loads, and I thought, I've just got to get this out of me. My thoughts and feelings behind it, and behind that whole situation that panned out from that.
Oh, it's really interesting. What about the blue colours? Because that pale blue and the deep blue and the other shades of aquanol, they look so gorgeous. So what is that about then? Why did you choose those particular colours?
The blue, basically the blues in the piece coming down in the knee is a representation of all the different types of uniforms within state police, highway police, different counties of police, but also the different shades of the browns as well, showing that actually not all the police are white. We're all from different nationalities. It was just to bring that all together. The blue in the head part is going blue in the face, lack of oxygen. So it was just drawing in the colours to bring it all together as a piece. That could be any person. It doesn't have to be a black man. It could be any person. Gosh. That was so that's why I was saying, sometimes people don't want to hear that bit.
I think it's very relevant now to hear that bit because it needs to be said and underlined. And for me, that painting is one of your most powerful ones. And I love it because the ambiguity, but it emotes to me that sense of anger, frustration, passivity, helplessness, and power. That whole scene is encompassed. And I didn't know what it was about, but I just think it's absolutely so amazing. And although I'd like to see it in sculpture, I'm not sure if it would take anything away from it, but it'd be lovely to explore.
I think now hearing that, Sammy, has been amazing. As I say, I know nothing about abstract, but that's like, wow, okay, now I see it in a different way. So definitely the story needs telling. Definitely, without a doubt. And now I understand about the brown colour, which isn't my favourite colour, but now I can see, oh yeah, you do definitely need it there. And only when you're saying it that I kind of only looked at the brown around the outside, but I didn't even notice the browns and the different tones inside till you said it. And I'm going, oh yeah, now I see it. So definitely needs that, what you've just said. And like, luckily Steph is recording it, so you can have it and say exactly what you said, because that's a whole different meaning. Definitely. Just don't turn around saying, "Me, do you want to fucking buy it?" Okay. So going on to the next one, do you want to tell us a bit more about the stories then behind it?
So the next one, like I say, I had a fabulous childhood growing up in London, and we moved to Yateley when I was 11 years old, and I started senior school. And all the time we're in London, I didn't feel any different to any of the other children there. Felt exactly the same. Moved to Yateley, myself and my two sisters, we were the only 3 brown kids in the school, and we got all the names called us under the sun. The racism here was horrendous. We couldn't believe it. And it caused me for all those years at senior school not to speak.
Not to speak?
I spoke at home. I didn't speak in school. The only time I did speak was when I was in my art lessons and I was doing one-to-one with the head of the faculty.
Wow.
That was it.
That definitely needs to be said.
So I came away with my O-levels and A-levels by doing it all on my own. But like I say, the bright stuff, the colourful stuff, was from bringing into that dark time all the good times I had when I was younger, before the age of 11. And then all the times I had when I was at home with my sisters and my mum and my dad and my cousins. That was all brilliant times. And so I had to, as a child, I couldn't work it out, but it was only when I got into my late teens, I would map out the school year and I would cross off every day I wasn't there, and I'd be counting down. I've only got 200 and something days left at school. Till the holidays or till whatever, and that's what I was looking forward to. And I put some gold leaf on there because to me that was the best bits, was the summer holidays, the half terms. Those were the best bits. And then with the different shapes, they were different aspects of places I had been with my family where we had nice times. But there's always like the darkness, because originally that was all painted black. Because I thought, how am I going to deal with this? I need to get it out. How am I going to deal with it? So I just painted the whole thing black. And then from the black, I added the layers to it. And because it was such a painful time, most of that is done with dots, with a tiny ink pen, just dotting, because I suppose I wanted, because I don't feel that pain anymore, haven't felt it for donkey's years. I wanted to recreate feeling that pain. So I actually started that piece in the summer, and I only finished it recently when I glazed it with resin. But painstakingly doing dot after dot after dot, and then a dot on top of the dot, was just to feel that horridness again. But it was only when I was doing that piece I could come away from that, come on and see you girls, chat with you girls, and I'm fine, because I just wanted to feel that for that moment, and I could then put a lid on it and walk away. And so where I've used brushwork, that's where I'm more free. So that's just the story behind that, really. So different elements of the painting and different pieces, like there's at the top part where there's the little blue dots in like teardrops. That's actually from a tile that we had in one of our houses we stayed in on holiday in Portugal, and that was a happy time. So I thought, well, I'm going to put that tile in there, you know, and different. And if you go right into the middle in the pink, I've just written love me, love me, love me, because that's all I wanted at school. I thought, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't anyone like me? Why isn't? And then it's only looking back as an adult, well, you weren't talking to anyone, so how is anyone going to like you? But then the reason I wasn't talking to anyone, because I've been called horrid names. I was being pushed about. You know, one time I walked into the ladies' toilets, the girls' toilets, and I think I must have been about 12 or 13, and I got beaten up. And when I came out, my nose had been bloodied. And when I came out, I just went to my oldest sister, who's only 2 years older than me, so she would have been 15. And I said, look what's happened. And she's going, let's wipe your face and just ignore it, they'll go away. To the school, to the teachers, well, you must have said something. Didn't say anything. I don't speak to anyone. So it was all that. So that bit there, that pink bit, is bright pink, because I'm thinking if I can be bright and be bold, someone's going to like me. But it didn't happen. But it doesn't matter that it didn't happen, because I'm not there anymore. So that's that one. Miserable, isn't it?
And you had your family and your siblings to love you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is a kind of reminder of that too.
Yeah.
I don't hear that story and feel misery though, Sammy. I mean, I feel your pain, but that doesn't make, I don't look at that then and think misery. I think that's sad that you went through that, but I love the fact that you are out this side of it, and that's, that's what it says to me. And it does, for me, it's upsetting, but also in a joyous way that it's now as it is, as in you saw. You didn't just get depressed the whole time. You actually looked forward to your summer holidays. You went and did all those things. Many people would have just dropped at that, because that's horrendous what happened to you, but you didn't. And I just think that's an amazing thing. And for me, I would have that on my wall as a celebration. So I don't think that's a sad story in that sense.
I think if the story could belong to anyone that had a hard time at school, yeah. But I think what is quite lifting is the fact that I never had one day sick.
Yeah.
Do you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Because I thought, I'm going to keep going. And when you hear such horrendous stories about bullying,
yeah.
of young people, let alone of adults, but, you know, of young people, and you sort of think, how do they get up every day and still go in and do what they're doing and try their best and all the rest of it? But there's something that must be innate in all of us that if you've got the right people around you, that's what keeps you going. It's like my mum used to say, it's all right, you've got your sisters. Even though my sisters physically couldn't do anything at school for me, and my parents weren't being listened to, because back in the day, what the teacher said went, you didn't question it. And even though now there's no way I'd let any of my kids go through what I went through, it's a different culture now to what my parents had to put up with and whatnot.
I'll just say something quick. I'm not going to stop too long, but that was the one that really resonated with me, Sammy, that I liked the most. And it's interesting because I was also bullied right the way through school, literally all the way through. So I can completely relate to that. And then when you were talking earlier about the dark being there, and you actually explaining, I missed the start of it because my son was hollering up the stairs. But as soon as you'd mentioned about the black in behind, I connected with it way more than, and I could literally just sort of think, actually, I could picture myself in that 100%, really, very much so. So yeah, definitely share that side of it with the darkness. And for me, I can just relate. And this patch down here, where that, I don't know if you can, that's that bottom bit. I don't know. For me, that is just exactly the same. Like, yeah, I came from that place, but actually, look what I've managed to, change it around to. So yeah, I just think it makes it all the more powerful. And it's interesting, that's the one I especially resonated with. And yeah, completely get you on the bullying side right the way throughout. I ended up in the swimming pool or the bushes or being dragged around a football pitch more times and the teachers did nothing. So yeah, completely relate, and I'm sure many others will as well. So,
lovely. It's a lovely piece, Sammy. It really
is.
It
is, and it's really joyful. It's hopeful. I like,
I like the hopeful side because I think I'm sure most of us probably can relate to bullying. I was bullied in work. I was held in a lift, and she was like this close to me, and the threats and stuff. So primary school I was bullied, and then going to work I was bullied. So it certainly gives you the hope that Sammy's come through it. So. There is that positive side. I just love the colours, and there's like so much to it. There's like, when you look at it, you can see this, and then look back, and then you see something else. And I think maybe that's all the different layers of your life that's built up, that's in there. So yeah, you should be very proud of yourself with that piece, because it's really lovely.
I think
so. As a curator, like, if I were to come up with words, taking from your own way of explaining your story, from what you just said, I sort of tend to do this. I have the following, if you care, as the feedback. There is from helplessness to power. Brilliant memories, loud and clear voice, relating deep, authentic feelings, growing up painting from childhood drama. So basically, or overcoming, growing up through painting. This is how you gained your loud and clear voice. And if you combine those elements, each of your paintings would sell like crazy if we can clearly state, I think. And it would explain so much about you without having to go through all the detail of it. So as a curator, in a way, if we can find, paragraph in the third word that describes you and your art together, I wouldn't separate them anymore now. I don't know if that's meaningful or helpful, but those are my thoughts.
No, it is helpful. It's very helpful. Thank you.
I think what you were saying, about trying to relate them as well, and I don't know what the story is about the third painting, but the first painting and the second painting is kind of linked, isn't it? Because it's been bullied, it's been held down, it's not been accepted. So certainly there is a link there, even though those two paintings are so different, but they aren't. There is a link. So it'd be interesting to know about your third one and to see if that links back to.
Okay, so the third one.
I need to go. I'm going to say cheerio, but I'll definitely come back and watch the replay. It's really interesting.
See you later. Thank you, Julie.
Bye. Bye.
The third one, literally, I painted it while we were in the first lockdown. And so there was one prior to this, which was separate bubbles in family groups. So I literally painted how our extended family is all grouped up. And then when we came out of lockdown and we said, oh, we're allowed to move a bit, but we're still sort of having rules, and we're still supposed to be isolating, but are we or are we not? Because people were going to the beaches, weren't they, in the summer and smothering themselves over the beaches. Basically, that was just a response to what I was seeing on the news. So that essay was just a side of A4, because I was so angry after all that everyone had done, it'd come to nothing. Because people, are we isolating? Are we not? Well, that group of 7 are together, but I'm not seeing my mum and all the rest. So it was a bit of anger, really, involved in that, because I was so cross. And that even sort of is like resonates with now, because now we're in lockdown. Now we're not seeing anyone again, even though people are acting as though it's still the same, as everything's okay. And now they're saying, oh, well, for every one day we give you a freedom, there may be 5 days in isolation. Philip can't afford to be off work for the whole of January. I don't think many people can.
No.
You know, it's just ridiculous. And so it's frustration, really. But they are bright and they are colourful because, again, for me, just the fact that you put a black background, it's like a black abyss, what we're going into, what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you put the bright colours on top just to highlight and illuminate, I suppose, illuminate the situation, put a spotlight on it and say, look, this is what you're doing. So as if they were not just the people and their little bubbles all intermingling, but that's actually the virus. Look at it. It's the virus. I'm sticking to you. I'm bouncing off you. I'm touching you. You're almost the color I am. I'm a different color to that, etc. It's just so it was just a very quick one, really.
So really the three, in a way, are linked because it's been kept down. You were kept down in school by the people who didn't support and include you. The first one, he's kept down. And this one, it's like an individual. It's like you, and it's like the world or us, in a sense, isn't it?
And it's again about power and helplessness.
Yeah.
Now,
that could be a thing, power and helplessness.
You're finding power in the helplessness. You're using art as your power. I guess there was another thing that occurred to me as a label. I don't know if this is a good thing, but for some reason I thought, the story is all about weakness and being innocent, but it's really what it shows us the iron artist, really the iron lady, the strong artist overcoming. And that's the part. So you're the intrepid artist forever. You found that power. You have that power regardless what happens. You have learned to turn it around.
I also think, Sammy, in a way, you've been painting history. Yeah. If you think about it, in years and years and years to come, those paintings are actually, you think back on the great masters, on Rembrandt or whoever you want, and that was that period in time. And, you have painted, what a year, 2020. You've painted, certainly with two of the pieces. It's very much you know, this moment in time, and that's really powerful. I don't know if you see it that way, but I think it is.
It's very powerful and inspirational.
I do love all pieces, by the way, but I'm just looking here, and I do like your Paris series and that technique. Those colors are just, it's a blow away for me. If I, you know, were to do kind of a cold advice here, if you were just to take that Paris series and that's, you know, do that for a while, say, you know, 6 months and see what happens, and don't allow yourself any of the others, you know, and those techniques and styles, and just play with those colors. Wow. I mean, I could see that as just a world-class exhibit. I just
thank you.
That's just me. But they're so powerful and so strong, you know, and yet when you come across, you know, personally, it's this, well, you come across very strong and steady, but it's more of a meekness and you know, it shows kind of the, you know, the path you know, and the fight, but your paintings do not really show the fight. They have a statement, you know, it's well timed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I wouldn't have said steady myself, only because of the chair, but we won't go there. And I think, to be honest, the third one with the bubbles, you know, you were drinking, looking at your blooming bubbles, and then thinking, how can I paint them? But we won't go there. Prosecco or Guinness, no, Prosecco.
Excellent.
So does that help, Sammy?
Yes, so does anyone else have anything else they want to jump in with?
I'd just like to say that I think you definitely need to tell your stories, because listening to your stories makes your art pieces 100 times stronger than they are without them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, yeah, the stories behind them just, yeah, makes them so much more powerful. So, but that's just my opinion.
No, I agree. Absolutely.
What sort of do like a little pre-seed version down by a sales post?
Yeah,
absolutely. I think whenever you're putting that, like, especially because like we're selling online and stuff, so you don't get to talk to people and explain the story behind the piece at all. You, like, your first painting, you need to put up what that's about. Okay. I saw it as this, it looked like a 3D sculpture to me, but when you tell me what it's about, oh my God, it just changes everything. Like, it's changed my whole perception of that piece. Just listening to you explaining the story behind it, like, it just changed, my whole perception of it completely. It just, so much more powerful. And it's the same with all three as you've spoken about them. So you really need to figure out a way to, like, at least include some part of that shortened story to get that powerful message that is behind those pieces of works out there with them. But that's just my opinion.
I appreciate your opinion.
No, I agree.
I agree with Cindy. Definitely. Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah, it's really important. It's funny, isn't it? Because you said somebody who'd bought one of your paintings, when they found out there was a story behind it, that was the first thing they said was, "We want the story." Yeah. So I absolutely, I think that's a huge thing. And that also, you were saying that what you need to help with is to invite people in. Well, that invites the right people in, because like if someone doesn't resonate with them, it doesn't resonate. That's the same with any picture, isn't it? But the ones that it does, wow, you know.
Yeah, the people that your story behind your work resonates with are gonna just like flop.
Yeah.
But equally, it won't resonate with them unless they know the story.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, as I say, the first one, I'm thinking, oh, what's this? You know, it's kind of can't understand it. But then when you explain it, and I didn't, I'll be honest, I didn't see the head that was wearing and the knee. It just looked like kind of, you know, I don't know about abstract, and you've educated me, and I know an awful lot more now. But without you telling me what it was about, and can you see where the head and where the knee and whatever, it's like, oh God, I see it now. But you had to hold my hand and show me. It wouldn't link, but you held my hand. You said, look, this is the way forward. And now I can see it. And it's so much more powerful, so much more. And you explained to me about the colours and the uniform and that. Because I look at it.
I said to Philip about that piece. He said, oh, who's the person who's going to buy it? And I said, someone who's not offended, I guess.
I don't think there's any offence in it. It's not, there's no offence there. I'm not offended.
That's part of history.
Yeah, it's a history. It's something which happened. And, you know, as Joan said, you know, everybody has commented in paintings about history and events and things throughout since whenever. So that's all that is. It's not it's actually saying this happened and this is your emotions about it. And absolutely. People don't want to forget things like that.
Where's the offence? The only people you might offend is the bloody awful police guys who did what they did.
Otherwise, it's showing compassion and understanding and documenting it, and hopefully, you know, be one small step to helping to prevent it happening again.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you haven't actually said your political views on it. No. You know, like politics can be, oh my gosh, you can be this, but you haven't said whether what the policeman did was right or whether what they did was wrong. You've just literally said, this is what happened, this is what it looks like. But you haven't actually.
I suppose it's my photograph of the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I think for me, without the stories, all of them capture what you said in the stories. They capture for me the emotion, the turmoil, the conflict, as I said, the going from weakness to power, bullied and victim and all of that business. They capture that in the actual painting, but for someone who, and it's not necessarily on a verbal level, but it talks to me emotionally. They talk to me emotionally. Yeah.
It's also about your sensitivity. And this is actually a big transition, going from your own experienced in the past stories and pain and working through that to more generalized, it makes you an activist artist. Like you're now, because of your sensitivity that, you know, was developed, you feel the pain more so potentially than others. Hence, you feel compelled to paint about it. And I mean, the label would be that you're an activist. As soon as you take on sort of general themes, and some people go into that exclusively. You know, they exclusively paint about events and happenings. I guess it's a decision that you have to decide, you know, is that how you want to label yourself or not? But I wouldn't just assume that everybody, you know, is impacted by it the same way. That's where you as the artist come in special. and that for some people needs explaining too. And it's the same thing. There's a tendency for them as customers to want to stay away from those themes and just be entertained and light and fluffy, versus some of this is where the prettiness art sort of falls down, but it's a strong statement. It's not. It's your body of work, but will it sell? And I guess you should make a conscious decision of which way you want to go, and if this is something you want to pursue, but it doesn't necessarily bring in money. It may.
Bring me the money.
I don't agree. I don't agree either. I don't agree. It's finding people that the art resonates with. It doesn't matter whether you're painting like pretty animals that in bright colors that just cheer people up, or whether you're painting something very meaningful and very powerful like you. They're two completely different customers that we're looking for, and that's all it is. They're out there. People will resonate with the story, and it's just a matter of finding them, and that's what it's all to do with.
And I don't think you're labelled an activist either, just because you're actually depicting these things. I think that's a bit of an extreme view, to be honest, and I wouldn't label you as that.
More historian to me, but that's the word that I would use if I was going to label you, but I wouldn't label you at all because I don't like labels.
No,
I think they would. I think it would sell, because I know of another artist who paints about all the boat people who've come from France who are trying to get across to the UK and they drowned, and little boy who drowned, at sea. And she does a lot of those type of paintings, and actually they're, it's a very morbid subject, but yet they do sell. Doesn't mean she's an activist. It's just that's her perception of what she sees and how she feels about people trying to get away from from a different bad place.
Are you off, Cindy? Sorry.
No, Elisa.
Oh,
Lisa.
Are you off, Lisa?
I must go because I must give the tablet to my son. He has a class now.
Bye.
We share technology. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Buongiorno, au revoir.
Excellent.
Sorry,
I was thinking if you can if you're going to approach how you sell your work in a slightly different way, do you then change your ICA to reflect that?
Good point.
I don't know. I suppose
no. Why are you doing that? No, because your ICA is the ideal customer that you want to deal with. Full stop. That's not how an ICA works. You have to decide who you want to work with. That's what took me ages to figure out with the ICA. The ICA is who you want to work with, nothing else. Not who you think's going to buy it or who you think's going to like it, anything else. It's the ideal person that you want to work with, that you want to be selling your art to. That's all there is to it. Not trying to figure out all the rest of, that kind of person is not going to want to buy my art or whatever. The whole thing is that it took me ages to get my head around this, so I've got it pretty clear now.
Oh, good.
It really is the person that you want to work with. That's all there is to it. And the whole point is that there is some ridiculous millions of that type of person in the world. And out of that ridiculous millions of that type of person, there's going to be X amount percentage of them who will like that art and want to buy it. You just have to find them. Haven't figured that part out yet, but hey, that's
one step at a time, Cindy. One step.
Cindy, that's amazing. I've just gone, that's amazing. That's so simply put. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, but you know how long it took me to figure that out from all the crap that we've been learning? I want to hook you. Oh my God.
It's an incredibly hard concept, isn't it? Because whatever you do, you end up designing this person, and it's like, and that's why they kept saying it's quite good to pick someone who's quite similar to you, because obviously you find it quite easy to relate to that. And I kept thinking, yeah, but I wouldn't buy my stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'd be thinking. You know, I'm really glad you said that, Cindy. That's resonating with me as well.
That's a hallelujah moment, isn't it?
There is a bit, yeah.
So I have learned something, you see. Something.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but I've learned that.
How much are you going to charge us now for that info, Cindy?
Hey, that's going to cost you heaps. I don't know what I'll give up now.
So Cindy, who's your ICA? I mean, Sammy, not Cindy, sorry. Who's your ICA right now?
Oh my God. I've changed it so many times that basically I just want they're not male, they're not female, because the people that buy my work at the moment, I couldn't even put them in the same group.
Stop right there. Wrong. See, that's why you keep changing it.
Huh?
That's all wrong. That's why you keep changing it.
Go on then, Cindy. What's she doing wrong?
It doesn't matter who's buying your art now.
Exactly. You've got to forget about that completely. It's got absolutely nothing to do with your ICA.
So it's not the people that buy my art isn't my ICA.
No.
It's just the person who's not buying my art is my ICA.
No. You have to think of this person that you would like to work with. Okay?
Right.
So you've got to make up this person that you enjoy working with, enjoy being around, enjoy discussing your art with, that you can explain your art to, that you'd enjoy having those conversations with. That's your ICA.
Okay, girls, you've all got to get online and buy some of my paintings then, because you must be my ICAs.
Exactly. No, seriously, that's your ICA. Like, you've got to come up with this person that likes the things that you're happy and comfortable talking to them about, that you like being with, like us, like now. That's what your ICA is. That's who your ICA is.
Blimey.
That has
absolutely nothing to do with selling your art.
Has got shitload of money.
Well, if you like dealing with people and like being around people that have got shitloads of money, then yes, absolutely.
Oh, God.
So, my ICA likes to ride Harley Davidson motorcycles because I love my bikes. Mm-hmm. So if they don't like bikes, then that's going to be a rift.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
You know, things like that.
Right.
We'll all be rewriting our ICAs now.
And the whole idea behind it took me ages to get this concept through my head, seriously. But now that I have, it's just so much easier to deal with everything. The whole idea behind an ICA is just so that when you're writing up your posts for your art and when you're marketing your art and everything, you're writing to this person that you would ideally love to work with. Yeah. So that your marketing and everything has a direction, rather than just writing to everybody where it's not focused. So very few people actually pay that much attention to it because it's not directed at them.
Yeah, it's kind of like the one thing, one message, isn't it? It's the same. If you keep it simple, you're doing it to the one person. Yeah. And as you said, if there are, say however many millions of that person out there, then there'll be this small percentage which actually like your art, but actually it doesn't matter. That's still hundreds of thousands of people. So
exactly.
Yeah. There you go.
Another light bulb moment there, Cindy.
Sorry, mate. It took me a long time to get my head around it. I'm only just getting there now. Took me a long time. I couldn't figure it out. Yeah.
Well,
you know,
Everything else I should be up and have done by now. But, you know, hey, I've got that bit down pat, all right?
there is there's marketing, and then in the art world, pre-marketing, if there is such a thing, it's the idea of curatorial descriptions, which means somebody takes a look overall what you've done and puts a spin to it, puts a story to it, combines and explains who you are as the artist, what the paintings are about, what a visitor to seeing this can expect. So it's not so much about sales, and I think it's that aspect that you can be very strong and in terms of improving some of it. As long as I'm still having difficulty. I mean, I don't have difficulties understanding the marketing aspect, but really trusting, like from my experience with people who've bought my art, trusting, experience always supposedly teaches you something. So this would be the source of where I would go to find things about my ideal customer. But I have difficulty with that because I also, once I paint and have done it, I don't really care that much about that painting anymore.
Shock.
On next thing. I care enough. I mean, it's either going to stand around, and that would be okay with me, but it's really nice to get painting money, money for paints and things. So this is why I'm into the marketing, to just try to find the person, it belongs to. I mean, I don't have any big thing about people seeing my art. It doesn't necessarily give me pleasure. The marketing part is the one that takes work and is effort. The painting part and all of that comes more natural, and it's nice, and it's what I want to be doing. So anyway, it's difficult, but it's about communication. I mean, in an ideal world, I would just paint, put it up there, and it should communicate. But it doesn't. People need words. I guess it takes a certain vocabulary of understanding even. And so I think it's all about the vocabulary to communicate. That helps. Words, in other words, rather than the painting. And as artists, I think we can understand paintings, just with the painting, but we tend to interpret it more according to our world and experience. And we might miss things, which we did by not knowing about your paintings. And so now we're real fans, and that's really, I mean, we're fans before, but now we're, it's powerful.
Just bloom and buy it, Randy.
Okay, Sammy, that's a lot to think about, isn't it?
An awful lot. I'd just like to say thank you so much, ladies, for all your words and everything you've said. I've made notes in my notebook, and I'll be re-watching the video to make more notes.
I did want to tell Stephanie briefly something, and this came in a half dream to me. I watched your picture process video on the little hummingbird.
Oh yeah.
And somehow, there's different thing, but in the stream thing, I was marketing this for you. And the label that came out had to do with the anti-voodoo artist.
Voodoo artist.
Voodoo. But it's the opposite. Voodoo is you stick needles into things and yet making these pretty objects. And so it's like from voodoo to magic, or see if you can incorporate this voodoo thing with the process. Anyway, I just wanted to not.
Well, thank you for that. That's my next collection, the voodoo collection.
Good to me. You want to reassess your ICA for that one?
Clearly. Yeah. I love the fact you dreamt about it. That's brilliant. There you go. Who knows?
I don't know my dreams.
I love it. Love it. Brilliant. Okay. Do we want to just go around to see if anybody's got anything they want to share or other things they want help with and things like that? So Sammy, have you got anything else you want to add or say that you got coming up? Or
I'm just making at the moment it's a triptych, but they're only 30 by 30, but I've just finished painting and cutting out all my I've done 809 hearts.
All those.
So that will be, I'll put that up soon when I finish that. And just while we were talking, I've had 2 people interested in the same paintings, the marching band. I'm waiting for them to come back. They wanted to know the price. Even though it's on the website, they still come back and say, what's the price?
I know, it's hysterical.
Fingers crossed. One of them buys it.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, just make sure, Sammy, when you go back and say, oh, you're the second person. I've just been talking to somebody else. You want to buy it quick if you want it because someone else is interested. Well
I'll
done.
do that.
Fantastic.
Perfect. Fiona.
Okay. I had my call in the week with the lady that runs this big Facebook group and company cosmetics and stuff. And so I'm going to be doing an interview with her. And so the next slot that I've been booked in for is the beginning of May next year.
Wow.
It's a little way off, so I've got time to perfect my story, although I do have to send a brief bio to them, my story sort of thing. So I need to work on that and a photograph myself so that they can publicize it as well. So that's hopefully going to be really good because it's quite a big group, and she's got her own YouTube channel, which I know doesn't mean a lot, but it's very popular.
Yeah.
So hopefully that can maybe boost my visibility somewhat and maybe get some more business. So that was good. She seemed very nice to talk to. So I've just got to try and come across more like, exciting and engaging and stuff. So because I think I do maybe come across as a little bit maybe laid back and calm and maybe not, enthusing over stuff enough maybe that I should do. But then again, I've still got to be me.
Yeah,
There's no point in trying to be someone else.
You come across very elegant to me.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Just be you, Fiona. Don't try and put yourself on speed.
No, I don't think that would work somehow. I'd probably end up just saying
just be you.
I think you're hilarious, as in, you have a great sense of humour, and you just have a very dry sense of humour as opposed to the, rip-roaring. And you always make us laugh and everything. So if you're just you, that's perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks
There's
very much.
no saying, Fiona, just be you, because everyone else is taken.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And no one's done this one before, so I'll give it a best shot.
Yeah.
Being me.
Yeah.
And then I had a lady come back to me that, now it was either the end of last year or the very beginning of this year when we were still doing Kingston. She came along with her husband to Kingston and their 3 little boys. And they were just going to move, but she was interested in having portraits done of the boys. So they have moved now, and she has come back to me. In fact, I had a phone call with the 2 of them. She obviously put me on speaker so that I was talking with her and her husband. And she wants to get some more photos of the boys, have them tidied up, have their hair done, and cut and whatever. So that's fine. And but she doesn't want a portrait of the 3 boys anymore, which is what I thought she wanted. She wants a separate portrait of each boy.
Oh wow!
So hopefully that one will come through. I know she's looked at my website. Whether she's looked at prices or not yet, I don't know. But I got the impression they weren't necessarily short of money, but then we must assume anyone else's financial standing. I always remember the guy that came along to the art fair the first time I did it with when Steve was at the next stand, and this guy that we christened One Tooth came along, scruffy sort of Bermuda shorts, really scruffy, dingy looking t-shirt, literally 1 tooth at the front, hair a bit. And he came and bought one of Steve's paintings for cash, went away, came back with some more cash to buy another one. So, but to look at him, you think, how did he get in here? Even, it was just, he's not going to buy anything, but you just don't know. So
that's true.
And not that means that my prices will be any different, whether I think they've got money or not, but I'm hoping that they will be able to, they'll want to afford to have 3 decent portraits done. Just finished a little dog portrait the other day and nearly finished another one, which they both needed to be done by the end of this month. And a few more in the pipeline to keep me busy, which is good news. So, but only 2 recent ones have really come through solely from Facebook. The others I've either known or I've met them at Kingston first. So I know I need to start posting again because I've had a week off, and need to start pushing that, because I think it helps to be able to say, well, actually I have a waiting list at the moment, and we'll be looking at middle of next year, next September, whenever. I think it gives people confidence that other people are commissioning you, so you're the right sort of person to go to, sort of thing.
People love a queue. We love to join a queue, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's I wouldn't make that up, and I'm really pleased at the moment I don't have to make that up, because I have got all these commissions in the pipeline, which is excellent.
Brilliant.
And I wanted to suggest, and I don't know how this might go down, and I haven't even really thought it through properly yet, but I just wondered, once we've gone round talking about people's art that want to be talked about, have their work talked about, to help with how we each speak about our own, I just wondered, going forward, certainly not every meeting, but maybe once or twice a year, if there was anybody that we could maybe invite as a guest speaker, not to join the group, but as a guest speaker to talk to us about a particular subject, whether it's sort of legal type things, financial stuff. Framing's probably a bit too basic for most of us. Have been doing this quite some time, but I don't know if, I haven't really thought it through, but it just suddenly occurred to me this morning, would there be any mileage in having an occasional guest speaker, maybe only for half an hour, if it was a subject that could be covered in half an hour, and if other people have got any ideas about subjects or type of speakers that might be useful. I don't know, but it may not be something anyone is interested in. But I just thought I'd throw it out there, and it can sort of percolate.
Yeah, and I think it might even be a little bit more generalised in that, as in just subjects that people want to know more about. You know, it might result in having someone come and talk to us. It might be that someone within the group is the expert in that particular thing, and it'd be really good if that person did a presentation on it. So absolutely, I agree, whether it's someone outside or someone inside or whatever, to do it.
Absolutely. Like last time Joan was asking about licensing.
Yes.
You know, I've had no experience of, well, very limited experience of licensing, and so maybe a talk on that would be helpful. You know, we may not need it now, some of us, but it may come up, and at least then we'd have, I remember something about that, better check.
You know what to say, don't you, then? When it comes up, you think, right, I know what to say, and then I know where to go and find the information that I need at that time, type thing.
Yeah, so that sort of thing. And so just throwing it out there, see if it had any legs. If not, it doesn't matter. But
I agree. Yeah.
I think that was it for me.
Excellent. As Angel's wandering around, Joan.
Me? Oh, hello. Yeah, I've whilst we've been on, because I've been doing some of these mugs, dog cat mugs, and somebody's just messaged me while we're on, and they said, I'm trying to place my order and you haven't put it on there. So I've been kind of struggling trying to update the website and put items on there. So that's something that's come through, which I'm pleased about. I've been put in the local online newspaper, which goes around the whole of Staffordshire. So I just saw that popping through this morning. And I suppose my mindset around money I've been thinking about more so this week. And it's interesting what you're saying, Cindy, about your ideal customer, you know, who's your ICA, because I had created this these canvas prints that I'm hand finishing, and this lady had bought one, and then when I went to deliver it to her, I'm thinking she's my ICA because she's got a daughter, because she sent me photographs of her home decor, and it was all these original paintings on the wall. But when I went along with the piece to her, she said, oh no, I wanted the first one, not the second one. But I did try and email you, but the email didn't get through. I'm thinking, great. And then I'm driving home, then I'm kind of amending it and all this. And I think you're right, really. The ICA has to be somebody who you really want to work with, instead of feeling almost like, I won't say second class citizen, but I felt kind of
like
as my husband.
Sounds like she felt like you were her servant, that she could ask you to rush off and do this, that, and the other.
Kind of, yeah. As Andy said, you know, the horse pulls the cart, but in my case, the cart was pulling the horse. You know. And yeah, I'm almost kind of I said to Andy, I said, oh, should I give her something else as well? And he said, why? You don't go to buy to Tesco's and buy a slice of, you know, a ham or Christmas turkey, and then they expect to get something else just because they're so grateful for you to buy. So I'm kind of a bit of mind monkeys going around that, you know, going forward, I want to sell my originals, and it's just kind of trying to deal with why I feel the way I feel, really. And I don't really quite know why I do. I know it's something I need to work on, I guess.
I think sometimes we just, because we're so used to doing the I need to sell, and I need to sell, you know, by doing many, many things, and then I might sell type thing. And I think sometimes we just, if money isn't coming in, we quickly resort to our old thoughts rather than our new thoughts. And it's like, that's what I'm really trying to concentrate on, and stopping doing all the millions of things, as in which might earn a few pence, because I need to be selling my bigger pieces and originals, and that's what the focus is. And so, but I know what you mean. You get the mind wobbles because you think, well, I haven't sold any yet, or, you know, so, and you think revert back to your old behaviours, and it's, no, you've got to
stuff.
And I know that's what Julie's doing at the moment, isn't she? She's getting rid of all her, well, not all of it, but a lot of the stuff that she was doing, so that she can just focus on these bits, because otherwise it's just there and distracting. But yeah, I know.
It's just, you know, and I can totally get, I think was it Cindy, I can't remember who was saying, no, Fiona, it was yourself, about this guy, the one tooth, and he comes and he buys a piece and then he comes back. And, you know, and I think of somebody I know who is virtually a millionaire, and when I met him, you know, his shoes were ripped. You know, here's these shoes, and it's you would give him the last piece, but it's kind of, I know that people are out there who, you know, who I kind of seem to judge that, oh gosh, they must. I do judge them, you know, if they're driving a 4x4 and they're wearing leather boots and they're, you know, that they must have money, and that's not the case. And I know it's not the case. And I know I've met enough people. I've met hundreds of people through my other business, from all walks of life. And yes, it's this thing of judging, which is crazy, really. So anyway, that's where I am at the moment. Oh yeah, so that's me.
Cool. Mac.
Well, at the moment I'm buying dresses, any excuse to buy clothes, but I'm buying a selection of dresses, and I won't keep all of them, but it is for the performance part of the film that I'm making about my work.
Nice.
But trying to buy things online is really difficult, because you look one colour online and you get them home and they're something else. So I'm going to have to buy more to eventually get the one that I need. There's that. The audio piece is hopefully going to be out soon, but I haven't been given the go-ahead yet. And that'll be available in libraries, as well as I think it's going to be on Paisley Radio, and I'm not quite sure what anything else. I think everything's been tied up. Next week, I'm speaking to a bookkeeper about and getting advice on how to actually become self-employed. Although I've been creating work since I was first asked to draw at primary school. It was the first introduction to drawing, and I've been drawing and creating ever since. I've been commissioned, but no one's ever bought my work, a piece of work. I've been
commissioned. They bought it, didn't they?
Pardon?
If they commissioned it, they bought it, didn't they?
It is the things I've been commissioned for are audiovisual.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So so people see my work, and then so that's where, so it's a bit difficult on the pricing things, you know, for me. Anything else? So taking the plunge that way. Recently I've been into the Akashic Records 3 times. Anybody know about Akashic Records?
No.
Okay. It's the belief that, and I would say it's a belief because there isn't scientific proof yet, that everything that ever was about your soul is in the Akashic Records. And if you have blocks or situations that repeat in this lifetime, you can go back into your Akashic Records to find out where they are and what you can do to change those. And apparently, for example, I, throughout my soul journeys, have been creative, but it's always got me into trouble. And even in this life, it's got me into trouble, you know, with my father, with my husband, and with my siblings. So I was wanting to explore that, which was amazing.
Oh, wow.
And some other things as well. So I've been really looking at the spiritual side and looking at other things, and it's really been helping understand more about myself, where my blocks are. So it's really about mindset. I'm kind of still exploring mindset, but obviously gathering in, as you say, Steph, I lurk and I gather.
A bit of lurking myself.
That's so interesting. I get a lot from it. I've always been an observer. But anything else? And I finally got the Dad's estate completely finished, got the checks. Fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, which is brilliant. Yeah, I think that's about all.
Yeah, excellent. Cindy.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't have much to say, except I did want to bring up, are we going to look at doing some sort of press release for the next Bloomz show?
Yeah, we need to start thinking about it, don't we?
Yeah, if we want to do it, we need to think about it so that there is time to actually use it as a press release and get it into newspapers and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about it today.
I was thinking about it because I was thinking I know people won't get the tickets, but I thought I need to get that finalised for it so that it's there, so that when the odd person does click on it and things like that. So for me, I just need to finish this commission, which I will finish next week, and then I will start thinking, start doing. I won't start thinking about it. I'll get that finished because I got it to a stage where I just didn't finalise it and put it up. And I think then we'll have something to refer to in a press release because it will be there type thing, so that, and we can then change it or whatever as we go. But yeah, we do need to do that.
Jeff, we need to get you on morning telly.
Morning telly. Well, I'm on Create and Craft TV tomorrow.
Yeah, no, advertising the Bloomz though. Oh. You like they have. I mean, I only see it in the evenings though, but like on the One Show or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Consider it done.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hurry up, Steph. Go on.
I shall look forward to you announcing the news of that.
Yes. Oh dear. Yeah, it was quite funny. I'd mentioned about, my mum saying the last TV thing I did, it was actually on the Sewing Street thing here, and I did two. One was about my needle felting, and the other one was actually the people I do this kits things for. They do cross stitch and sewing stuff as well. So it was the one that I did on cross stitch, which, obviously not my expertise, but I just did that one. And it was that one that my mum said, yeah, it was boring, but bless her. Well, she was trying to say, and this is just my mum's way of not quite saying what she means, she's an expert embroiderer and cross stitcher. It's been of no interest to her whatsoever. So she didn't mean I was shit. It was just like, telling herself to watch it, And it was like, God love her. But she assures me she's bringing her posse to watch me tomorrow.
Oh.
Have you introduced your mum to Sammy's mum?
They met, didn't they? At the Bloomz. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they were in rooms together.
Yes, I've got to do that later today.
Oh, is that today?
I've decided too much heartache. Not the person I want to work with, Cindy.
I mean, that's the thing. If it's going to end up where both of you actually aren't going to be happy, which is what will happen, won't it? If you can't, then it's
no point.
No. Do you think perhaps, because like it's the sort of thing my mum might think, which is if I said, I haven't sold much recently, that she thought, perhaps she should get you to do something for her to help you type thing? Or do you think she was actually just thinking, I quite like a picture? Have you got any idea why she thought?
I I haven't asked her. I will ask her that, because you said that in the chit chat to ask her that, because I haven't asked her that. But it just came out of nowhere, because she's always said, "Oh, it's not for me." So
Well,
then to ask me to do it, but to ask she wants me to do it about her, my view of her, but then she lists every to include, and I said, "But that's your view of you." And she said, "No, I want it from your view." And I said, "Well, my view is going to be very different from your view." So anyway, I think she wants a pretty picture, and I don't do that.
Well, you said that she said to you once, "Why can't you just do pretty pictures?"
Yeah.
So bless her. That was what I had in my head when you said she said to you. I thought, oh my God, and yet she looks at your work and her response was, if you did something pretty, you might sell more or something like that, wasn't it? That kind of thing.
Yeah, do more realism.
Anyway.
You are. You are more realism, but not the kind of realism that she likes.
Not quite accessible to Sammy's mum, though. Bless her.
I think, Sammy, you should just say to her, "Mum, this has come out from nowhere. Why now?" Or what, and try and, as I say, get.
Yeah, well, I'll speak to her later today. That's on my to-do list for today.
Because I think, you know what it's like, in a way? It's like me looking at that painting of yours and thinking, I don't know if I like the brown. I don't know, what is it about it? And then suddenly you tell me, we're going a lot deeper. And I'm going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the same thing.
Maybe.
Best of luck on that one, though.
Yeah, good luck, Sammy.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Not an easy one.
Cindy, anything more you were?
No, that was it.
That was a good one, Cindy, though.
Yeah.
Top woman.
Yeah.
Angel, have you got anything you want to add? Or...
No, nothing more to add.
Okay.
I've just been busy this week, just creating and getting my head round pricing, because obviously it's a new thing that I'm doing, so I need to figure out an introduction price to then increase in January. So I keep going from like quite high to then quite low, and I'm like, where do I start? And because the last thing I want is to put all this out in December and then nothing happens, because that'll just be heartbreaking. So I need to figure out a price for them. I'm nearly there, I think. I went through the pricing module yesterday that they put on, and I'm no clearer at all. So I just need to figure it out. And I nearly fell down.
Another thing to remember, Angel, is if your work's priced too low, people won't have the confidence of their own judgment, and they'll think, oh, I really like that, but oh, it's only that. Oh, it can't be much good if it's only that much.
Yeah.
So you know, if it's too high, you maybe rule out some of your people, but you know, if there are enough of them still out there that can afford that, great. But if it's too low, it's as bad as having it too high, is I guess what I'm saying. So.
See, I even went onto Etsy to have a look, and that was just so confusing in itself, because the range of prices on there, and you don't know who's buying them as well. So for that, I just like this is just making it even more confusing looking on this.
I don't find that useful either for my own stuff, because there are some people who've got ridiculously low prices who obviously just thought they'd throw a few pieces up, and then there are some people who I respect, and basically they sell out immediately, so they never have anything on there. But then you have other people who've got masses on there and the prices are ludicrously high, and they're obviously not selling, but then they're not. It's like anything, isn't it? If you're known in the thing, like the lady who sells out immediately, people wait for her, and then bash, they all, she puts them up and they've gone in seconds. And her prices are about 800 quid for a sculpture type thing. So Etsy's kind of, I know it's good to see what other people are doing, but it can just confuse the hell out of you.
No, it's very confusing. So I think all I'm going to do is go for a price per, like whatever it is, like per. I'm going to start off with that calculation and see where I go with that. Because I don't know.
You can but try. But I love your new work. I'm just amazed at how that's transferred on canvas.
I'm getting a lot of nice comments about it, and a lot of people wanting to know. I've had a few people already say, "Are they going to be for sale?" And I went, "Yeah, of course they are."
Yeah.
And then I've had a few people saying they're excited to see the transfer of energy onto canvas, and they're liking that. But I didn't realize. Obviously, it was draining the first time I did it because I was doing it on my face and I was going through all those emotions. But I didn't realize I would go through it again, painting it on canvas.
Wow,
Been quite a strange go through. A nice one though, because it's from a happier place now.
Yeah, you say from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yes. But still, yeah, I think it was last week. I had no energy, couldn't do anything. Absolutely. I was like 8 o'clock. What's going on? But no, it's interesting. And I'm getting people talking to me about it already, so that's quite nice.
Brilliant.
I've just got to get the right price.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I like it, Angel, the moment you put the eyes on.
Mm.
You do the painting, then you put the eyes on and it becomes alive.
Yeah.
See, I do the eyes, it's scary, the eyes. Because it's very simple, very, and when I put the eyes, because I've got my own little space in my room that I class as my studio, which it isn't really, it's the corner of I've done as my studio. People don't need to know that. But then every time I walk past these paintings, they look at me and they follow me, and it's a very weird thing to have in the corner of your room. It's very strange. It's just weird. No. Just need a price.
What size are you doing them, Angel?
They're 40 by 40. That's in centimeters. So they're not huge. I wouldn't say I've got larger canvases, but they're not like massive. I don't know. I'll figure it out, I think. Well, I'll have to.
You will.
I will.
Got to go. Nice to see you all.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Anything else, Angel?
No, that's it. That was, yeah. I wasn't going to say that, but I waffled it anyway. I tend to waffle.
I love it. Renata, have you got anything else you want to add or ask about?
No, not really. I guess I'm sort of in this everlasting state of being slightly confused at times. Well, it's like I feel like I'm out of the Bloomz, but you know, it's really nice to try to catch up. But I've been running around a lot. I feel I'm kind of out of art at the moment, if that makes sense. I started my diet, and so I've been cooking a lot and. Just weighing things, and there's so much. I mean, it's so much. If I go by the plan, it's like, and I'm stinking up the studio with garlic. So, and I, in my head, I paint, and but I did manage to get my calendar together, and it just came. And, on the first page, there's a mistake.
Oh, no.
but it's not that bad. Oops, I gotta take my virtual thing off here. I'm sorry. Hang on. None. Okay. So this is the calendar, and it's upside down anyway. But I put my website on here, and it says www. Renee.
Renee.
So, and I double checked these, so I don't know. But on the following, so it's just the front page. And so the ones where you would hang them up, I checked they're all correctly spelled. So it's not
so bad.
that big a deal, but right the front page, front center is like, oh gosh. And it's always an investment, but it's my way of in the past advertising, and I wasn't even going to do it this year, but people started asking me. I mean, really, are you going to do your calendar again? And please, and I want another copy, and they're using it as giving it as gifts, easy gifts. So I have kind of cellophane and put a ribbon around and all of these, and then mail them out. It's very expensive to mail them to my family and stuff, but I do it, and once a year, Anyway, so I've been busy with that. I took my pictures to an exhibit that opened last night at Sunbear Shores, which is the 45-minute drive away. And they are having Eventbrite tickets for attending the opening to their Deck the Halls exhibit. They can only let in 20 people at a time. And there's no food, and it's all masked and everything. So it's not the same. And they always manage to hang my stuff next to the toilet, or which is not a bad place.
Everyone's going to go there.
in the past, you congregate there, sort of talking to each other, waiting. So it's like was covered up. But I made it to the back gallery on the back wall, next to the heating and lighting switches. Like if I take, but it's all right. It's not really art pieces. I painted 3 things on wood and sold them. But I did negotiate yesterday, although they opened yesterday, that I can bring in one more painting, which is actually of fire. And the whole theme of this is fire and ice. And I didn't, it sounds intriguing and all of that, but there's a local artist in the province that had an exhibit, and they actually did fire and water. So it's become kind of the thing to go back to the elements, I guess. But no one else in there in the Deck the Walls really has any fire or ice paintings. And that like make no sense that they even have a theme. And it's one of these hodgepodge things. So I've got to make another trip today down there to bring that. But it's nice, it's better hanging there for a month and potentially being seen versus here in the studio with the garlic smells and nobody coming in anyway. Other than that, COVID is raging wild at our border with the US. And we've just gone to code orange, which means, mandatory mask wearing in all public places and recommended voluntary still, restricted moving about, and about 2 islands over, apparently COVID has hit. And being in the boonies here, and there's all these people are scared. and there's a lot of bad stuff being said on, social media and things. I try not to really get into that, but people aren't entirely well educated, and so a lot of that is surrounding me in the area, and yeah, it's unpleasant, and it's increasingly, yeah, not nice in all aspects. But we're really, in the scheme of things, versus Europe and populated places, and then this, we're still very well off. It's more the Western Canada and the big cities, but our away city that I've been, they're closing down now again because of COVID. So they had 17 cases, and that's a lot for the population, I guess. And so they're trying to keep that. Yeah, if anybody has recommendations of, I have dreams of finally being quiet, everybody being isolated again, and so I could finally go back to painting. But we've had, like, I do the grocery shopping more often now, and there are already things again, like, not enough toilet paper and this kind of stuff. So it's gonna be weird. We've not had our first snow. We've had cold. First snow is coming Sunday, supposedly. So then it gets really weird, because I have nobody to plow my driveway, and I'll be basically kind of in here, dependent on the weather. If it melts off, I can get out. I face my car down the driveway to the road, but it takes them like a day and a half to plow this road. Because I'm at the end of the line. So it'll be interesting, but I'm kind of psychologically hopeful since I've been this diet, and I'm positive, and I'm saying, this gives me time to do this, and by when it gets warm and out there, I should be in better shape. I should have some paintings, and but it's, before that it was kind of this dark tunnel, and now I'm okay with it. It's an opportunity to isolate again.
Cool.
That's what I'm at. So
okay, that's cool. From my point of view, yeah, I'm trying to finish my hummingbird commission, and so I've got my final TV thing tomorrow, and then it's producing stuff for the Bloomz show, which is going to be end of Jan. So I'm going to do that. So I'm launching my reflections range, my colourful range. I'm going to launch it at the Bloomz, which I'm very excited about. And and so we'll start, as you say, Cindy, we'll start getting the stuff up for that as well, so that we're in good shape for that, which would be good. And there's the 5-day challenge, obviously, which is in the Liam Paula thing this week, which I think there's a few of us who are on that, aren't we? So apparently there's some different tasks this time, so I don't know how different they are, but we'll see.
Yeah, I was wondering if anybody had any insights on that. I didn't do my, mandatory. I've read it and, agree with it all, so I still have to do that. I did mean to ask you did you get a chance to follow up if they received that painting?
I just said to Steve today, have we asked? And we forgot to ask. So he's, I think he sent an email to him. As soon as I know, Renata, I'll let you know, because we just
okay.
But yeah, we'll find out. But yeah, so apart from that, yeah, good, excellent. So the next meeting will be on Thursday. So we'll do, unless anyone wants to volunteer, we'll do the pulling out of the hat. And
I won't be there on Thursday.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would volunteer. I'm volunteer for the next one after that if you want me to. It's Thanksgiving in the United States, but it's being, since we're in Canada, we get 2 Thanksgivings, so basically. But I'm actually have appointments and I won't be physically here. So given, that it won't snow and COVID holds the same, other than that, I'll be there.
Okay. Okay, so I'll do that and put that up. I'll do that tomorrow so that we know who's gonna be putting their pictures up for us to have a chat about. But I think so far it's been really good, hasn't it? I mean, I know we've only done Sammy and Fiona, but I feel like it's been quite a good insight into it all. Cool. Excellent. Okay then. So have a good rest of your Saturday.
See you later, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.